In this video, we're going to talk about how to determine whether a relation is a function. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take a look at some examples. Here we have an example of a table of values where we have an input and an output. And basically, a relation is a function if for every input there is exactly one output. So what that means is that if I have a -2 and it goes to 4, that means that if there's another -2, it needs to go to 4. And in this case, it doesn't, which means that it's like trying to bake a cookie, like a chocolate chip cookie, and that's the recipe, and you get out of the oven and you get chocolate chips. But then you do it a week later and you got oatmeal raisin. And that doesn't make sense. So again, for each input, there is exactly one output. So here in our first one, we saw that we have no, it's not a function, because the input, -2, has two different outputs. There we go. So let's take a look at number 2. So remember, this one's not really in the form of a table of values, but we still have inputs and outputs. Because if we remember from our table, our input is our x value, and our output is our y value. So here we can go through and we can mark all of our x's, and we can mark all of our y's. So we have all of our inputs and all of our outputs. So as we begin to look at all of our inputs, 0, 1, 2, 3. So for this particular set of values, we don't have any inputs that repeat. And so we're not worried that these two outputs came from different inputs. It doesn't matter. Maybe your grandma's chocolate chip cookie recipe is different than my grandma's chocolate chip cookie recipe. So in this particular instance, we're going to have, yes, it's a function, because each input has exactly one output. Let's take a look at number 3. So here we have a table of values that's being drawn or written vertically as opposed to horizontally. Same thing's going to apply. So let's take a look at our x values. We have 2, 4, and 6, and none of those repeat. And so that tells us that, yes, this is going to be a function, because each input has exactly one output. If we look at our fourth example, we have a type of a table, kind of. It's more of a display, but we know what our inputs are, and we know what our outputs are. So if we look at our inputs, we have that 1 goes to 8, and that's fine, and that 2 goes to 9, and that's fine. But we also have that 3 goes to 10 and 11. So here we have one of the inputs going to two different outputs, and that can't happen if it's going to be a function. So we're going to have no, because the input 3 goes to two different outputs. If they had been the same number, it wouldn't be a big deal. But one's a 10 and one's an 11, and you can't have that.